What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you what comes with and how to install your plug and play Fardriver kit from yours truly. So to make this video not super long, let's just get right into it. Alright guys, so first things first, let's check out what's going to come in your kit. So as you can see here, let me zoom out a little bit. We have our fully done up harness ready to go, plug and play. We got waterproof connectors all around, aside from the on and off switch, or should I say the key switch for your BombMoto. Of course, I can't get into all of your guys' bikes and swap those out to waterproof connectors. So in order to make this plug and play, this one does need to be a generic connector. But as you can see, it's all nice and wrapped up. All the pins or all the connectors are specific to what they are, so you can't go and plug something in wrong. So it should be very simple for you guys. Just to run through it, we're going to have our voltmeter, our key switch. We're going to have our 3-pin for our throttle. Now these are actually the Suron style connectors, so let's say that you do inevitably go down and somehow you manage to explode your throttle. You can always pick up a Suron throttle, Suron style throttle off of eBay, Amazon, whatever. They all come with this style of 3-pin connector, and it will just plug right in. So no worrying about trying to buy one and mess with the connector to get it working. Fully plug and play. And if you want to get something fancy like the carbon fiber one or like actual Suron throttle, it will plug right in, so you got nothing to worry about there. Then we're going to have this 3-pin for our 3-speed switch. Sorry, this is going to be something I'll talk about later. This one will be for your 3-speed switch. Then of course we have our hall plug for the V2 and the V3 BombMotos. If you do decide to get one of these for your V1, everyone should probably already be set up by now. It's been long enough, but you'll have to get the hall connector adapter to go into the generic 6-pin. And then of course we have our Bluetooth dongle connector. Now these kits will not come with a Bluetooth dongle. They will be completely tuned to maximize the B1, so no worry there. I will leave a link to show you guys where to buy one if you do want to set it up with Bluetooth. But like I said, I'm going to have this all tuned for you guys. All you got to do is plug it in and you're good to go. So harness, nice wrapped up, nice and neat. We have a 3D printed mount for your controller. This is going to sit on the spine of the frame and the controller will bolt up underneath. Then of course we have our Fardriver 72300, perfect for these. We're going to be running these at 80 amps and 240 phase. Should be plenty for your B1 battery. So if you do buy these, make sure you at least have a 80 to 100 amp continuous battery. Now of course we have our Suron style throttle with our Pro Taper pillow tops. These are some of my favorite, and they match really well with the bike, so really digging those. And then of course we have our 3-speed switch. Now I was going to go with the crappy plastic ones, but I decided to go with these nice aluminum cased 3-speeds. So if you go down, these are dirt bikes, we're going to crash and fall. This thing's going to stay nice and sturdy for you. Then of course we have our voltmeter. Now I'll get into this a little bit later, but when you're installing your voltmeter, you'll notice there's dots at the bottom of the numbers. You want to make sure that is facing downwards so you don't accidentally mount this upside down. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about this 3-pin right here. Now what I've done is I went and pre-wired this to accept a DKD display or some other type of one-line display. So basically you're going to have your positive, your negative, and then you're going to have your one-line communication. Now to make this easy on you guys, so you don't have to go out and pay $100 for a resold DKD, you can go find them on AliExpress through SIA Ecosys for I think they're like $40 shipped, super cheap. So what I've done is included this pigtail. So obviously your red is going to be your battery positive, your negative is going to be, or your black is going to be negative, and green is going to be your one-line communication. Now simply you'll just plug this in, and then I've included these soldered butt connectors. So you just take a lighter or a heat gun to it, make sure you strip your wires, you plug it all in, and then this pigtail will go into your DKD or similar one-line communication display. Now I'm also in the works with A&E Electrics, aka Austin Nieheiser, who makes some awesome light kits, and he should be making these available that you just plug it in right here and then you have a full light kit keyed and all that good stuff. So this should be very useful if you do decide to use it. If you do not decide to use a display or a light kit, then just leave this unplugged. This does have a live wire in it, and you don't want these floating around in the chassis. So like I said, if you're not using this, just leave it out, put it back in the little baggie and hide it somewhere until you do decide to. And then of course we have our hardware for our mount right here. And then I've also included 4 zip ties. Now you're going to notice you have 2 long ones. These ones are going to be to mount or secure the 3D mount to the spine of the frame. I'll show you more of that here in a little bit. And then I got 2 more here, so you can kind of bundle up all your wires after everything is done and said and done, and kind of clean it all up. So yeah, that's going to be the full kit. Now let's go over some of the tools we are going to be using. So basically you're just going to need a 12mm box end wrench. We're going to have a 3mm later on for the hardware for the controller mount. We're going to have a 4mm, 5mm, and a 6mm. Now these 3 should come with your kit that comes with the bike. You get a little tool kit. This one you're probably going to have to find, but Allen wrenches are super cheap at the hardware store, Harbor Freight, whatever you got. So simple stuff. And now we're going to go ahead and run down how to take the B1 apart, so that way we can finally install everything. So very simple. First thing we're going to do is go up under the seat, and we'll have a wing nut here, and we're basically just going to take that off, and then the seat will pop off. The wing nut is off, seat lifts up, pulls back. We can set that to the side. Obviously my bike is a little bit modified. This is the older V2 if you guys haven't been following. So of course I installed the foot brake and I got the taller bars. Your V3 should actually come with the taller bars as well that are very similar. But of course you're not going to have the foot brake or the nice bolts and bolts seat. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll have a video out here soon for that. You guys can check him out, make some immaculate stuff. But enough of that. So first thing we're going to do is we want to grab our 5mm. We're going to come to the top here, and we're going to take out this top bolt. This is like the little seat hook where the seat hook's in. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. Then next up we're going to grab our 6mm and our 12mm box end. Come to the back top right here, and basically you just want to hold this nut down with your box end. Come down to the bottom, and as you can see there, we have 2 6mm Allen bolts, one right here, one right here. We'll go ahead and unscrew that. This bracket will drop down, and then we're just about ready to pull the plastics off. But what we need to do next is grab our 4mm, and then we're going to come to the front of the bike. Now it's easier depending on what side you're on. Tilt the bars the opposite way. Let's see if we can focus a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So we have a bolt here, and similarly on the opposite side. And then for the side covers, we're going to have a bolt on top, bolt right here, and another Allen bolt right here. So basically, take this top one off, go to the other side, take the second top one off, and then the plastics will pull up and out, and it will expose everything underneath. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll get right back to it. Oh yeah, the Florida rain. Seems like it's been non-stop this summer. Alright guys, so like I said, this little bracket drops off the tailpiece right here with these 2 bolts, and then we got all of our Allen bolts for our plastics and our side covers, and then we have our bolts off the middle for our little seat hook. So again, we're going to lift up the front like so, slide it out the back like this, and then our plastics are off. Very simple. And then of course we have all of our bolts off for our side covers. Sorry, it's a little dark. Of course the overcast comes and kills our lighting. Come over here, pop our side cover off. And as you can see, I already have my B1 battery installed. Whether you go with the BombMoto B1 battery or a Morg, whatever it may be, you will get a battery lead. We'll go over that here in a little bit. Obviously, these do not come with the Fardriver, so that is something you'll have to figure out. Usually, like I said, when you get a battery, they'll include the matching battery lead that plugs in to your XT90, QS8, whatever you have. But as you can see, battery is already pre-installed. Now you can do this. Usually I prefer to install the battery before installing the controller. But you can see we have our phase wires and our hall sensor. We'll get to that here in just a second. But our bike is basically ready to go. So first thing we want to do, and you know, this is very important that you do this now, otherwise you'll end up taking the bike back apart and have to rerun your wires. So you just kind of want to figure out, we'll grab our voltmeter and then we'll grab our throttle, and we kind of just want to figure out how we want to put this thing. So again, see if we can get some light on this thing. Yeah, it's hard to see. But as you can see, there's little dots at the bottom of the numbers. Make sure those dots are facing in the downward position. So when you put your voltmeter on, you turn your bike on and you don't realize, oh crap, I put my voltmeter on backwards. Now of course, this is all going to be preference of how you would like to run these. I like mine just like this, voltmeters here, throttle's right here. And then I'll probably put my 3-speed switch somewhere over here. But the main thing is we just want to run all this stuff right now. That way we can get our wires tucked in and figured out. So let me go ahead and position these how I would like them. And then I will go ahead and just basically run my wires through into the middle of the fork tubes right here. And then run them back in towards the middle of the chassis. Have our stuff mounted up here. We got our 3-speed switch right here, our voltmeter here, and our throttle right next to it. One thing I do want to mention, depending on where you put your throttle, make sure you don't shove this in too far, because the end of the bars can grab the grip and it'll kind of make it lock up on you. So make sure if you do push this all the way in, back it out maybe like a 1/4 inch away from the bars. That way you have nice smooth snap back. And then again, I ran my wires across, down through here, in through the side tube right here, along with this one going over through the tubes right here. And then we have my wires hanging out the side on the left side over here. Now normally I prefer to have my harness on this side, and then since my phase wires and hall sensor on this side, then I'll have those over here. And you can see we got hall wires, all that good stuff on this side, and the harness on that side. So we'll show you that here in just a second. I do want to give you guys a quick tip on how to install your grips, or I should say your one grip. That one is already pre-installed. So let's go ahead and grab this. Now I will show you a couple different tricks. Now if you have an air compressor, what I use is this little nozzle, little air nozzle. I kind of get this started on the grip like so. Hard to do with one hand, but you get it started, and then you kind of lift up and you stick that nozzle in there, and then you blow, and that'll kind of expand the grip, and you can push it in as it's expanded. Makes it super easy. Now if you do not have an air compressor, what you can do is put this down here real quick, is use these zip ties like so. We're going to actually put them in here just like that, and then what you want to do is kind of spread these out to like all 4 corners kind of deal, something like this. And then what we're going to do is, with these all spread out, we want to kind of work our grip on just like so. This would be much easier if I put this on the tripod, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to take our zip ties, kind of give them a spread like this, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. And then usually these are like curled up towards the end, so I'll pull them out just a little bit like so, just kind of get them out of the way. And then from here, just slap that sucker in there. Should slide in just like so. And then from there, you'll go ahead and pull your zip ties out, because we're going to need those later. I'm gonna leave those in because I need to get this grip off to get to one of you guys. But just a quick tip, show you guys how to get that on super easy and not have to struggle. We're going to install our 3D printed bracket. So this is going to slide up under these two tabs right here. So you kind of want to go in at an angle, slide it up under, and then push down securely. So what I like to do, and this is actually an idea from BombMoto himself, is you'll slide this in one side just like that, run it through the bottom, go through in between both of these tubes right here, slide it back in, come back up on the inside of the mount, back into the hole like so, and then from there you can kind of push it down and you got it in. Makes it a little bit easier than trying to fish it through. This hole's a little bit smaller, and then the next one, this one's just going to slide right on through, and then we are going to tie these down like so, kind of like an added precaution that I use just to really keep this thing locked down nice and tight. Now these are plastic, guys, so be very careful with this. Once it's securely mounted, excuse me, I'm dripping all over the place, it's so dang hot. Once the controller is mounted with all 4 bullets, this thing isn't going anywhere. But we want to be careful nonetheless, okay? So now that we got this, we can cut a little extra off and we can get our controller ready to mount up into here. We have our 3D printed bracket installed. We're going to go ahead and grab our controller. One thing I forgot to mention in the tools, we're going to need ourselves a Phillips head screwdriver, like so. We're going to grab our controller, we'll set our little cover to the side, and then we'll grab our pack with our phase bolts and our screws. We'll take out the 5 phase bolts first, and then what we want to do is just match up color to color. So we're going to have yellow to yellow, green to green, blue to blue. Very simple. So I'll go ahead and screw these in off camera real quick. Threads are very delicate. So when you get in there, I want you to snug it down nice and tight. If you can't go any farther, that's fine, that's good enough. Make sure it doesn't wiggle around, make sure everything's nice and tight, and you're good to go. Try not to use a drill to crank these down. You'll strip out the threads, you'll strip out the Phillips head, and it's just going to be a very bad day. Grab our battery leads that were included with our battery. Again, this is something you will need to get with your battery. And again, very simple, red to red, black to black. Alright, now we have our phase wires bolted down and our battery lead. Next thing we want to do is install our cover. Go ahead, slap that on top just like so. And then we'll take our 2 little screws, pop those in there just like this. And again, you just want to snug them down. You don't want to over tighten them because these are plastic threads and they will strip right out, and then you will no longer have use of your cover. So again, just be careful with what you're doing. Don't go too crazy. Now that we have this side of the controller all bolted up, next thing we want to do is put on our harness. Now hopefully you guys can see this on camera right here, but you're going to have 2 grooves on the outside of the controller, and then you're going to have these 2 grooves on the outside of the 30 pin. So make sure you turn these grooves towards the outside, and then you want to gently push it in. Make sure both of those 2 side clips snap into place, and then get our little rubber grommet on here. But it is very important to make sure you line up those 2 grooves. If you try to turn it the other way and shove it in, you could possibly arc out the controller and brick it, or just bend up the pins, and again, it's going to be a huge mess. So make sure you do that correctly. And we'll slide our little rubber grommet on just like so. And then what we can do real quick, since we already have it open, we're going to take our hall sensor connectors. We're going to go ahead and plug that in just like so. Now what I do is kind of stretch out the phase cable like this. We're going to flip it upside down so our phase wires and our battery leads are on the outside of the bike. Then we're going to take our harness and we're going to slide it in just like this. Controller is going to go up under there. You need to move the brake line out of the way, move your battery leads out of the way like so. Get all that stuff tucked up out the way. Harness through. Controller sliding it in just like so. Super easy. Now we're going to take one of our bolts here for our controller and our nuts, and we want to go down from the top. I'll explain this in a little bit, but you want your bolt down, pop on the nut. We'll grab our 3mm, and we're going to go ahead and start screwing that down. Now these are flange nuts, so you don't actually need to hold this one tight. It'll bite onto the aluminum just like that. And again, guys, we are not trying to tighten these with all of our force. We just want to snug it down. Let's go to our next side, put that through, get our nut on there, take our 3mm Allen, start screwing it in just like so. Wait for it to bite, snug it on there, just like that. It ain't going nowhere. So once we get all 4 bolts on there, this mount is going to be completely solid. Alright guys, so as we can see, our controller is mounted. We have our phase wires off to the side. Now you can kind of just tuck them like this and the cover will cover that up. And then we have our battery lead ready to go into the battery. So we'll go ahead, pop that on. It's got an anti-spark, so we just want to plug it in nice and slow. Boom, no pop, no spark, we're good to go. Again, just kind of tuck this stuff to the side. Your battery, if you get the B1 battery, will come with an adapter, so you can plug in to your charge port right here, which I got tucked over here. So get your adapter, go ahead, plug in your charge port, that way this is all ready. And again, like I said, just tuck all this to the side, put your side cover on, it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and go to the other side. First things first, we want to take our key switch wire, and we're just going to go ahead and tuck that to the other side with our throttle, our 3-speed, and our voltmeter. Let's go ahead and get into the plug portion of our plug and play kit. You will notice you'll have 2 extra 2-pin wires coming out. Those are for your brake sensors. We're not going to worry about those. If you want to hook up with A&E Electrics and get yourself a full light kit to get those brake sensors working on some brake lights, that would be cool. But what we're worried about is our key switch. We have our 3-speed switch, our voltmeter, and our throttle. Then of course we have our harness over here. So first thing we're going to do is grab our generic 2-pin and plug in our key switch just like so. Next we have our throttle, so we'll find our triangle shaped 3-pin, plug that in just like so. Next we are going to have our 3-speed. Then like I said before, we have 2 3-pin connectors, but obviously these 2 will not plug in, so you only have one choice here. Plug that into our 3-pin waterproof connector. Last but not least, we're going to have our 2-pin waterproof connector for our voltmeter. Now from here, you can go ahead and kind of bundle all this stuff together, kind of fold it like so, nice and neat. And then you can grab your extra shorter zip ties. You can throw some zip ties on this and go ahead and tuck this into the space down in here. Kind of make it nice and neat. I'm sure you'll make it neater than what I'm doing over here. And then from there, slap our cover on. Easy stuff. Now that we have everything plugged in and just about ready to turn this thing on, what we want to do first is remove our chain. Now depending on if you have the V2, you'll have a T8F chain, or a V3, you'll have the number 35 chain. Either way, it should be the same. Just go ahead, find your master link, and then pop that thing off like so. You can use a pair of pliers, whatever you might need. And then we just want to take it off the motor for now. So you can just slide it up out of the way like so. And then we are ready to turn the bike on. So once we turn the bike on, you're going to hear a beep sequence. It's going to be 2 short beeps, 1 long beep, and that means you are in auto learn. So that is the only part of the process that you will have to do as far as setting up the controller. After that, we are ready to go. Go ahead, switch that key to the on position. You'll hear 2 beeps followed by the beep sequence that I just talked about. voltmeter should be popped on, controller should be screaming at you. Now you can hear it. As long as you have that beep sequence, you are ready to go. So what we're going to do, again, with our chain off and out of the way, we want to make sure this motor sprocket is completely free of any obstructions. Keep your fingers out of there. We're going to go ahead and hold down the throttle completely, and we're going to let it do its thing. So what you want to look for is the motor will spin forwards, it'll slow down, it'll spin backwards, and then it'll come to a complete stop, and you want to listen for the controller to make 2 beeps. Once it makes 2 beeps, you are done. So go ahead, twist the throttle all the way. Motor's spinning, slowing down, spin the other way, stops, controller beeps twice, and you can let go. Now at this point, you should not hear anything from the controller, and your motor should be spinning in the forward direction. And then from there, guys, we can put our chain back on, put our side covers back on, and we're pretty much ready to ride this thing. Another quick tip: when you're putting your master link back together, you want to grab your clip and you want to make sure the opening of the clip is facing towards the back of the bike. Of course, this is going to be with the master link on top. If you were playing around with the master link on the bottom for some reason, it would face towards the front, but let's not make that confusing. Make sure you're doing your master link up top. Usually I prefer to do it while it's on the sprocket. Again, open side towards the back of the bike, just like so, and then snap that thing back on and you're good to go. Now we flip to the other side. If you need to cut out a little bit of the corner, you know, imagine this was still all there. That would push into the side right here of the 3D printed mount, and you don't want to shove it in there. Plastic's going to break. So make sure you clearance what you need to clearance. Again, you will not see any of this stuff, so it's not going to affect the look of your bike. But so we're on this side. We have our battery plugged in, phase cables down. Just kind of push those down out of the way like so. And then we're going to go ahead and pop our side cover on. Alright guys, done and done just like that. Let me go ahead and pop you off the tripod real quick, and then we will show you. So as you can see, the controller is in there nice and solid. That thing ain't going nowhere. And then you can see the heat sink does have some exposure here off the top. So once you put your top plastics on, you will actually get some airflow coming up and over there. So should help out a little bit with heat if you guys are running these things really hard. But yeah, so everything's pretty much ready to go. Throw the plastics on, just reverse order. Make sure you guys are careful, not cross-threading anything. Hand start the bolts if you can, and then use power tools or crank them down if you need to, whatever may be done. But as it sits right now, we are completely hooked up. We are ready to turn the key on, get our first beep beep. You see, we got our voltmeter here. We have our 3-speed switch all ready to go. Throttle is on. Hopefully this video was easy for you guys to follow, but at this point, your bike should be back together, your kit should be completely plugged in and ready to play. So a few things. If you have this up on the stand, it's always best to not rip this thing full throttle. If you want to play around with it, you know, give it a couple revs, that's fine. But what you don't want to do is run this thing full throttle unloaded. Very bad for the motor. But yeah guys, so like I said, hopefully this was very easy for you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. These are going to be limited quantity at the moment, but you know, I love the community and I want to help. These are going to run about $350 per kit shipped, and you know, like I said, this should be something very simple for you. Just slap on real quick and you're ready to ride. You know, nothing left on the table, no extra tuning needed. You know, just slap this thing on and you're good to go. So hopefully it works out for you guys, and I can continue doing this, maybe stretch this out. Eventually we'll have some kits for the 72-450 for the B2, excuse me, and maybe venture out into like the mototec, stuff like that. Got this huge bug flying around my head right now. But yeah guys, so if you guys purchase one of these kits from me, I appreciate you so much, and let me know down in the comments, how do you like it? Is it rip? Is it easy to install? Was there anything I could have done better? Do you like the throttle voltmeter, the 3-speed switch? Let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.